Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Healing Broken Families podcast, where we host conversations on divorce, parental alienation, and high conflict personalities. In 2022, we've shifted the focus from broken to whole. I'm your host, Barbara. Today, I am honored, excited, and bubbly to be here with two truly incredible divorce professionals. They both went through a divorce at the exact same time. They entered the divorce vortex as best friends, and when they came out the other side, they launched ExEXPERTS. It's an online community that's radiant, resourceful, and healing and helping women go through divorce. So ladies, you are the real experts, and you've both lived it and you get it. So help us out. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. So yeah, you've been through it. You get it. Tell me a little bit about how you both ended up going through divorce as best BFFs, and now you have this incredible online community for women. I mean, was that destiny, or did you pre-plan that?
I'm sure it was destiny, but I'm going to say that because I am a person who really always believes that everything happens for a reason and everything happens the way that it should. But it happened that at the same time that we got divorced, because we had already been best friends. Our husbands were best friends. We got engaged within a month of each other, married within a month of each other. And then 13 years later, within a week of each other, we found out that both of our husbands had been having affairs and they had been covering for each other. So our initiation of the divorces was right at the same time because the circumstances were somewhat similar. What we came to find out throughout the journey is that even though it looked very similar on the outside, it was very, very different on the inside. And so we ended up having totally different divorces. TH's took a really long time, cost a lot of money, was very acrimonious, and mine was very amicable. I'm still really close with him today. And so it just kind of goes to show that anyone going through divorce, even if you had a family member, a sibling, a best friend, their process, their lawyers, their decisions, their agreement, it's not automatically what you should be doing. It really is so individual. And so we felt after our experiences that we were so lucky to have each other, that we really needed to figure out a way, how can we help other people? Because we know what it's like when you're getting divorced and you don't know what you don't know.
And what we have at ExEXPERTS is there are two sides for the divorce process. There's the business side, right? You need your team, you need your tribe, you have to hire people to get you through the actual process and also to support you through the process. Mm-hmm. But then once the process is done, that's where you really start to grow. And so we had each other and we learned just, from our conversations with our lawyers and stuff, we shared information and things to think about. But the biggest part is that we were really good listeners for one another. So even though the process is so different, we were married to very different men, even though we were all best friends, is the feelings are the same. That's what connects all of us. So ExEXPERTS, we've lived it, so we get it, unites all of us who have gone through this. We are kind of our own tribe moving on from divorce because we know how it feels. And you may not have felt the pain for so long. I was thrilled to be out of my divorce. I told the woman that called me that day that she saved my life. And Jessica had a very different reaction. She was very sad and felt that kind of loss and mourning. I had already mourned years earlier. I was so ready to fly. But we shared that we have kids. We want to launch, but we've got little kids who don't understand. So the feelings, as well as the business side, is what ExEXPERTS addresses, so that we have this community of support for you and a way to empower you with education so that you can make the best choices for yourself.
Yeah, I really get excited about your mission because so often I say that divorce is a marathon, not a sprint. And we heal in community, yet many times women go through divorce alone.
Yes.
So maybe we could discuss some of the many ways that you support healing and support resourcefulness from the business side in terms of divorce. And I'll start maybe with you, Jessica.
Sure. So it is obviously a crucial area when you're getting divorced to understand that unfortunately money is going to be spent, time and energy is going to be spent, and to be able to, surround yourself with people that you trust implicitly. I mean, your relationship with your divorce lawyer is one of the most intimate relationships you're going to have in your life, because this is someone who you have to be comfortable spilling all of the dirty details, not even necessarily in a vindictive way, but they have to understand the circumstances of what brought you to them. So we have so much content. ExEXPERTS is a digital media platform that offers information and resources in a lot of different ways. I mean, it's web-based. Our website is exexperts.com. We also have a podcast. We have tips and resources through social media. We have it in a variety of different ways. But the idea is that through our own experiences, we know that the things that maybe we did wrong and the things that we learned through the process. So if someone is just starting the process and they're like, I don't even know how to find the right divorce lawyer, there's information about that. There are articles and content on our site and then podcast about what are the questions that you should ask when you go in for an initial meeting to decide whether or not you're feeling the vibe with that person. Because you should never feel like obligated to have to hire someone based on how that conversation goes. I mean, it has to be someone that you're actively choosing. Or you may have a friend or know someone who went through a really difficult, challenging, high conflict divorce, and the circumstances for your situation could allow you to have a much more collaborative and amicable process. So we have information and resources out there, like what are the different ways that you can get divorced? You can litigate, you can mediate, you can do collaborative. There's a variety of different things. So we want to be able to explain to people. So even before you go to a divorce lawyer, like what kind of a divorce do you think would work for you? Because your lawyer should fall within that realm. If you don't want to litigate, you shouldn't hire a divorce lawyer whose specialty is litigation. You know what I mean? You don't want a shark if your idea of your divorce is going to be that you want to mediate and try to work it out together. So we try to support people by offering information in every different category. Our whole platform is divided into sections: my divorce, my family, my wallet, my stuff, and myself. You're interested about what's going to happen to your home? You may want to go into the my stuff section. You don't know whether or not you need a forensic accountant? You might want to go into the my wallet section. You want to know what to do about how to co-parent? The my family section. Like, we've made it really easy for people to find the information that they need in a way that's not, we don't have an ulterior motive. It doesn't matter. TH and I don't care if you hire that lawyer that we interviewed for that topic, or if you hire one of the other 10 lawyers there, or someone else entirely. We just want to make sure that whoever you end up with is the right fit for you. So we're just putting the information out there with people that we've vetted with no agenda. That's, I think, probably the best way that we support people, is that we're not looking to get a kickback off of any divorce lawyer in the US can call us up and say, we'll pay you to be a part of your ExEXPERTS community. That's not how we operate.
Right, we're not a directory service. And what makes us also very different is we're not just taking information and just like pushing it out there. We're doing the interviews. This is all original content. We're asking questions that we would ask ourselves.
Right.
And because we've had such different experiences, and the truth is, we have very different perspectives on a lot of things, you're getting a very broad range of questions that you might want to ask, or that might spark something and you'd be like, you know what? I'm going to ask about this or that. We're giving you little nuggets to help push you in the right direction for you through a whole bunch of different ways.
So just to confirm and clarify, is this an online membership community?
So we are a free resource for information, and you can consume the information in the way that works best for you. You can scroll through Instagram. You can listen to our podcasts. We're on season 2. We have over 75 podcasts in all the different bucket categories that Jessica mentioned. You can read articles. There's, for every podcast, an associated article, as well as the actual transcript. So however you want, it works for you to consume and take in information. We've got it there for you. But it is free for you to consume that information.
The membership thing is something that we have.
We're considering.
Right.
Okay, well, it's a fantastic offering because divorce can be such a time of overwhelm, and it can be so overwhelming. So it's neat that you can digest that information in bite-sized chunks or in a way that you really like. So I think that's really, really neat. Now, I'm curious, you went through a high conflict divorce and yours was more amicable. But you both have this underlying passion to help women on the journey of divorce. So it might sound like a silly question, but why the driving passion to help women going through divorce?
Divorce is scary.
And it sucks. The process sucks. Even if it's amicable, you're digging up all of the holes and voids and pain points in your marriage, in yourself, as a mother, as a woman, as a wife, as a friend. Like, all the stuff comes out. So it sucks. And women do gravitate towards other women. And they do, in general, like to be part of some kind of a tribe. That's why they're called girl gangs and, girl tribes and all this other stuff for women. That's why everybody hears that out there, because that's the truth. Women enjoy that, and women are open to that in general. So we just know that we would have benefited from it, and how lucky we were to have our own little girl gang. Right. I live in the suburbs of New York City, and so to live in a town where everybody's chirping about my gossip is really, can I curse? Sure. Really annoying. I already said. So it's just, and like I said, I was thrilled to be out. But I don't want to hear about it every 2 minutes. I don't want people bashing him. I've got 3 little kids. Like, I bash in my own head. I don't need it out in the world, but I can put it in Jessica's ear, and she can put her stuff in my ear, and it's safe. And I don't have to worry that someone can't be trusted and they're going to go and spill something out. So looking back, I mean, we're 14 years out from the date of our separation. But the growth process, like you said, is a marathon, and it's baby steps. And you're not going to learn right away not to make that mistake again. It took multiple relationships and situations for it to literally get knocked into my head finally, that it's not my fault if things aren't working out. I am not to blame. It's just not working out. Like, that was a novel concept to me.
Yeah.
But now it's just, of course it's not my fault, but that wasn't the nature of my marriage. And so having a safe space is really important. And we just know that for us, how critical it was for our healthy growth and our ability to move forward as we have, and help other people not get stuck. Like, there is so much light. A divorce literally is like one of the greatest gifts once you take in, okay, I was responsible for letting him treat me like shit. I was responsible for this. Once you're like, you've taken it in, you acknowledge it, you're free. You've lost like 20 pounds of weight in your brain and your heart and your head and everything. And so we just know how beneficial it's been for us, and it's got to be that much more beneficial for everybody else too. We can't be the only ones.
I agree. So what I hear you saying is really separating out the different parts, his part, my part, all the different, and accepting your part in it. And then
I think it's acknowledging everybody's roles, but it's not all any one person's fault. It definitely takes 2 to tango. And even though for us, our husbands cheated on us, so that's easy. We're like, they're cheaters. It's their fault. The truth is, my marriage was over way before the cheating started. And the cheating was actually my get out of jail free card. So that's how it is for me. But I think for Jessica, she would have a different perspective on that.
But I also just want to say, with regards to like where our passion comes from, I mean, I think that there are like two other just quick additional points. One, I think, is that you're always learning things from other people's stories. So we are not at all interested in having ExEXPERTS be the kind of place where it's a dumping ground for people to come and start bashing their exes and like bring in negativity and negative energy. That's not who we are. But there are often times when you're having conversations with someone about your divorce, and there could be other people who are going through it, and you're like, oh, hey, by the way, you know, my kids were 2 and 4 when I got divorced for the first time. And I will talk to, now my kids are 18 and almost 16. And I will talk to people, and it's like, you know, their kids are really little. And so they're focused in their agreement with their lawyer about, you know, different things with child support and activities and things like, you know, up until they're age 12. And I'm kind of like, who's paying for your kid's wedding? If your kid goes to college in California and you live on the East Coast, who's paying for the flights back and forth when they come home for the holidays? There's a lot of things to think about that people don't necessarily know. So I find that for us, we're passionate about sharing the full experiences with people. Hearing other people's stories always helps you feel like you're not alone. No matter how bad you think you have it, when you hear other people's stories, you're like, I'm not the only one. That's reassuring to know. And then just separately from that, something that we talk about all the time is the overall general stigma of being divorced. It still exists. It's really unfortunate that it does, but we definitely have an intention to try to help chip away at that. There should not be a stigma for the fact that someone is divorced. You know, like TH said, sometimes things don't work out. So we feel passionate about people not feeling like they're being judged unfairly for whatever reason just because their marriage didn't work out.
Right.
Yeah, and that's something I had in our prepared questions, because there were a lot of divorces during COVID, a lot of relational breakdowns.
I'm one of them.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. And there's just a lot of divorces in general. Some stats will say up to 50% of marriages will end in divorce.
Mm-hmm.
So I know when I got divorced, I kind of felt like stigmatized, and I like I'd lost my place in my community.
Yep.
So when we're divorced and we become a divorcee or a divorced woman, is that now, in your view, our identity?
We have so many conversations about this, and we actually have a great article on the site written by a woman named Leslie Kaplan, and it's all about how like being divorced is not who she is. And the idea of like I was divorced for the first time 14 years ago, as TH said. So if I go to the doctor's office today and it asks me, am I single or divorced? Like, why do they care? Who cares what I am or what? And am I still divorced because I got divorced a million years ago? But this is what I will say. You know, I think that sometimes people find, I don't want to say labels, but certain labels kind of empowering. I know that TH and I have a different perspective on it a little bit, because I feel like, yes, I am divorced. And for me, it's not that I want to say it's a badge of honor. I mean, I've been divorced twice. I definitely don't think that's a badge of honor, but I feel like it goes to like my personal strength and resilience in being able to get through things on my own 2 feet, and just keep moving and not getting stuck in the muck. So I'm sort of, I hate to say I'm proud to say I'm divorced, but I'm proud that like I am where I am, considering that I've been divorced.
You're a success story. So that's why you're embracing it as a positive,
Right.
Because it's like a marker, like these are my accomplishments, and being divorced as you were it's like, holy
it could
shit.
hold you back.
Totally.
And it hasn't held me back. And
Right.
I think that it's easy to let it hold you back if you don't feel like you have people around you or a place to go to commiserate and reflect and see how other people did it when they were in certain situations. But I think that CH's perspective is that no, she's just a strong single woman, and it doesn't matter that she was divorced.
I think if divorce wasn't seen as such a negative,
Right.
I probably would say that. But because it is such a negative thing, and I had such a destructive marriage in terms of destructive for me personally, that I acknowledge. So, it's a little bit layered, right? Because I don't take compliments well either. So, and I don't always recognize my accomplishments for the success that they are. I'm just like, yeah, I did this, whatever. And then when I see people's reaction, I'm like, well, maybe it was kind of a big deal, but I don't ever think that anything is, I don't know. These are my own issues, but I feel like, don't tell me how to define myself. And I brought it up to her a long time ago. Like, I hate going to the doctor's office. I hate filling out forms anywhere. Why do I have to tell you my marital status? You're either going to get paid or you're not going to get paid. I have no money and be married. Does that help you decide if you're getting paid by me today? I might have a great settlement in my divorce. You're going to do better if I'm divorced than married for this bill that I have to check off my marital status. So I'm insulted when they ask me my status. And now I'm in a very serious relationship. So now what? Do I have a significant other? Like, why do I have to answer this question? So that's like a little bit of like an aggravating thing that comes my way every so often. But divorce is just another thing that I went through. And all I can say is I don't define myself by my divorce, but I recognize how successful I am in my own personal growth, certainly because of the divorce.
I love it. I think that's so empowering. It's empowering to hear that. It's empowering to tell your story, your personal story, because if you don't, someone else will tell it for you or project it onto you. So so I think that is an important message that you're both sharing right now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Backing up.
Freeing. It's very freeing, honestly. And with all the podcasts and everything that we've done, we definitely walk away from every one and either realize something new about each other's process or our own. Something was uncovered about our own, especially when we speak to these therapists. I was like, oh God, yeah, I think you're right. I never took ownership of that. So it's all a process.
It's a process. So this leads me to an unscheduled question, but I'm curious. So who went through the high conflict divorce?
Me.
Okay. And what was your biggest learning, or what was your biggest lesson? And then what was your biggest gift? And I'll ask you the same thing.
I don't know if it was a lesson because I was married to a narcissist. And I guess my lesson is that you can't save people, which is kind of what I learned from my marriage. You can't fix people. And when you go through a divorce, that doesn't change. And so my divorce took 4 years purely because of who he is. It only takes one person to drag it out. If you can both communicate properly and empathize a little bit, take some responsibility, then I think that high conflict is not in your future. And I'm envious of that. But I was willing to compromise and talk and learn and just get this done. And for someone who had already moved on with another relationship for multiple years, he kept this divorce going for 4 years. So if you can avoid litigation and high conflict, then please do. Because the lesson is, if you plan on only going to court and you're going to go get him for everything he's worth or everything she's worth, you're making a really big mistake if it's coming from you. If you can't control it, I'm really sorry for you, and I fully understand, and it sucks. It just sucks. It just hurts everybody. But so I don't know if that's exactly a lesson, because there's nothing that I could have done about it. It's just very clear that was what I was stuck in. The best gift is that I never had to be married to him ever again, ever, 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 ever again. Woo-hoo. I'm telling you, when I got that phone call, you would think you're in shock. So once the facts came together, I literally said, you saved my life. That's before we got into all the dirty laundry. of the follow-up conversation. So the best gift is that he cheated and he was outed and I was free. And the divorce stunk, but I was still free. Like my sense of self came right back, and I had been chipped away at for more than 4 years. I don't even know who I was at that time looking back, but God, I got a second chance at my life, and I wasn't stuck in that horrible situation ever again. I could be the best me now. I could be the best mom. I could be the best friend. I could be the best girlfriend. Like I could just be the best version of myself. That was never going to happen if I had to stay in that marriage another minute.
I love that perception shift or that mindset shift that you've said twice now, that you've got that get out of jail card free because he cheated. And that's such a beautiful way to take a negative and shift it into an empowering positive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the greatest gift.
And along your journey, at what point did you realize he was a narcissist?
Well, I didn't even know that was a word. This is back in 2008.
Right.
I was in an emotionally abusive marriage, as is the case when you're married to somebody like that. So it was honestly a slow burn. I knew subconsciously all the horrible things, but for whatever reason, I just couldn't pull the trigger. I have an amazing supportive family. I have amazing supportive friends. I had all the resources you could possibly need to say, I'm out. And I just couldn't do it because I was just like a shell of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So
she realized it though after she went to a counseling session.
So I went to a counseling session to find out how to tell our kids. So I made him come with me. And she was someone I had been seeing already. And when he left the meeting, my therapist pulled me aside and said, you're married to a narcissistic sociopath, and I am now going to help you to remove the power he has over you and make his voice be noise and help you through this divorce. She knew it was going to be a long, so I never heard that word. I didn't know anything about it, but we've learned so much through all of our podcasting that honestly, like a lot has come out that I only learned in the last 6 months from doing this, because I just knew that I had to learn how to not be abused anymore. And that's really hard.
Hmm. I acknowledge you for that. That's amazing.
Can we do those deep breaths again?
Way.
It's a real
Okay, it's like 500 degrees
work. All right, my dear, let's shift over to you and maybe share with us the most powerful emotional challenge you had during divorce. And what was the hardest for you?
I think the hardest for me, and this whole conversation, I'm really focused on my first divorce because my second divorce was entirely different circumstances, also very amicable. We had no kids together. It was a much shorter marriage. So this is all based off of like my experience the first time. But I would say for me, the worst part was the sheer humiliation of finding out about the affair and like the extent of the affair, and then finding out how many people in our social circle knew about it. And some, I realized in retrospect, had been really doing their best to be giving me hints and information and things that you would think would have made me question more. And Tage and I have talked about this a lot. I just think that for everybody in everybody's lives, there are times when you're ready emotionally and psychologically to deal with things and times that you're not. And I wasn't really ready to deal with it until it was thrown in my face. But then finding out afterwards that all of these people knew, and I had to still walk out of my apartment and go to work. And like, I just wanted to peel my own skin off. Like it was, one of the worst things for me is to feel like people are looking at me and thinking, oh, poor her. Like I'm a victim. I can't, that's totally unacceptable to me. And so that for me was probably the worst part of the divorce process, was kind of like figuring out how to work through the feelings of humiliation.
That's fascinating to me. How did you come to live in your power now and shift out of humiliation to to what appears to me is that you're really living in your truth and in your power right now. How'd that happen?
I think that at the time that it happened, I was just about to start a new job. Like I was literally in like the week between the job that I had left and the new job that I was starting, which was a much bigger job for me, a lot more responsibility. And I can be very pragmatic, and I'm pretty good about compartmentalizing certain things. And I knew that like I still had to wake up on Monday morning and go to this new job and like run my own show and, you know, run my own staff. And I kicked ass at it. And I really feel like having that job at that time and having that responsibility where I could not sit around and mope and mourn and like feel sorry for myself. Like I had to be up at the crack of dawn and in and, you know, getting it done. I really feel like that gave me a huge sense of like purpose and accomplishment. And I felt empowered by that. I knew what a good job I was doing. And it made me feel really good about myself and really confident with myself. Like, you know what? I don't need him. Like, I can do this. Like, look what I'm doing alone. So I feel like my job really helped me get through the process the first time, because I had something that I had to deal with every day that was entirely separate from like the emotions of the divorce, where I could completely take my mind off of it and be immersed in my job. And then when I, you know, had my own spare time, it was like I was able to see things more clearly, and I was, you know, be able to be calmer about it and kind of go with the flow and make decisions that I think were more beneficial for me and my kids in the long term, and not get stuck in all of the anger and resentment that happens immediately when you're going through divorce, which I think more people get stuck in. I was able to avoid that.
That was a gift to you, I guess.
It was. It was.
Yeah.
Everything happens at the time that it should. Everything happens for a reason. It seriously.
I was reading something the other day that said you attract what you are inside. And so if you're holding on to that divorce pain or of resentment and anger, which you just mentioned, it makes it really hard to
Yes, it does.
move forward. And I know you're both pretty big on moving forward.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Wow. Well, co-parenting and dealing with narcissistic exes and exes that have had affairs, which is a special kind of betrayal, actually, is pretty challenging. And now, as two women living in their power, what would you say to our audience about how can we move with more ease, flow, and grace when we're dealing with that narcissistic ex, or the ex that cheated on us, or just our amicable co-parent that still annoys us?
I would say when it comes to people who are getting divorced, and there are very unfortunate circumstances, deep betrayals like having an affair, cheating, that kind of thing, emotionally abusive, I think that one thing that Teach and I have both been really good about is the phrase that I use is, well, I guess this applies more to people who have kids, but like, love your kids more than you hate your ex, because it's really easy to hate your ex in the moment of everything that's going on. But I think that if you're able to somehow look down the road and think about, you know, what is really going to be the best for everyone. Not everyone can do that initially. I think that it's really hard. It's like, but he did this, but. And I think that, when it comes to those negative feelings, you just have to think about, okay, look, years from now, because it takes years to process and get through everything and kind of become your best self. But I think people need to realize that years from now, when you really are over it and you really have moved on, the residual resentment from back then will continue to live with you every day, in the way that you interact with your kids, in the way that you interact with your ex. People think that you get divorced and they're like, I'm so glad I'm never going to have to talk to them ever again for the rest of my life. And I'm like, you're an idiot. They're the father of your kids. You're going to have to talk to them every day for the rest of your life until you die. Just like it is when you were married, because God forbid, you could be 85 years old. And if something tragic happens to your kid, you're the parents still. So I just think like, you have to think about, what do you want that to be? Do you want to be able to sit and, break bread at your child's wedding in 20 years? Do you want to be able to walk your kids down the aisle together? Do you want to be able to celebrate momentous occasions together? The truth is, not everybody does.
I don't.
And that's okay. That's totally okay. That's totally okay.
Thank you.
But for the benefit of the kids who may still want to be able to have their graduation dinner with both parents there, it's important to be able to decipher whether or not that's actually feasible, and think about, for you and for the benefit of everyone else, sometimes you have to just swallow it down. I mean, not long after I separated from my ex, it was like my kid's birthday party. He had been with this woman already for 2 years, and unbeknownst to me, during my marriage, had met my kids. So she came to my kid's birthday party. Like, I had to be there with a smile on my face, because didn't my kids still deserve the 5th birthday party that he should have had, regardless of the circumstances of his
I did that
marriage?
too, by the way.
I mean, everybody does.
Oh.
It's not easy. It's not easy, but I just feel like I didn't want my kids remembering their little birthday parties with, like,
2 sets of pictures or 2 sets of parties.
Like, they should still be able to have some growing up moments that were reflective, I felt, for me, like what I had growing up. And so that's what I would say to people in terms of moving forward. Like, don't just get stuck in the here and now. Take a little bit of time to take a step back and think about what your future is going to look like and what you would like that to look like, and work towards that.
That's a powerful suggestion, to have that long future focused window that's 10 years out, and not to be so enmeshed in the real moment of, like, the real emotions of right now.
Right. Not easy to do, but if both people are able to work that way
and treat each other with respect,
right, then it can be done. It can't always be done.
For you to go with someone like my daughters, we separated in May. We separated from our husbands in May. And my daughter's birthday was in November. And same thing, my ex brought his girlfriend, who he'd been with 4 years before we separated, and I can't remember the last birthday he was actually at for any of our kids. But I went to dinner by myself, and he went with her and our 3 children, and they were 8, 6, and 4. And he treated me like shit at dinner. And they were too little. So, but they remember me physically being there, and I was sick inside, but I was physically there. I kept my physical distance as far away as I possibly could, and I got through dinner. And what's interesting is now my kids are 22, 20, and 18. And my oldest daughter, whose birthday party that was, now says, I am not sharing birthday parties with the 2 of you anymore. It's too stressful for me. So Jessica's kids maybe aren't at that point, and their dynamic is like so unusual, but really great. Because the exes, the in-laws, the outlaws, everybody's together. It's great. That's not our future. And she knows the angst for herself. Even though I was there, I never missed anything. And I would actually include him. Did you know this is happening at school? Did you know there's prom pictures? Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? Did you know to put a message in the yearbook? Because as much as I want him to make his own dirty bed, it's my kid, so make your own dirty bed, but like at least, send a message in the yearbook or something. So we do not celebrate their birthdays together, but we have 2 big graduations coming up this year, a whole weekend, one in New Orleans and one in Vermont. And my parents are coming. And we're all going to suck down a big thing of pride and focus on the kids and make the best of that time that we're all together. It's hard to hide the angst that's just in your gut. I do love my kids way more than I hated him. I didn't even hate him. I just really didn't like him, and I really didn't respect him. And I just wanted him to go away. So we handle business, And I would also say that this is a proud thing. I think Jessica brought it up to me not that long ago. My son suffers from severe anxiety and depression. And my ex and I did come together for him. And if we hadn't, I will tell you that my son may not be alive today. And if he was, would not be functioning. And he's going to college in the fall. Like, if we hadn't come together, it would be at the demise of my son. It would have hurt both of us, but it took time for my ex to realize it wasn't my fault that our son is wired this way. And as soon as a therapist got that through to him, we were able to come together in a crisis for our children. It doesn't mean I want to break bread with him on a regular basis, but we came together when it was, our kid's life was at stake. So it's hard. It's hard. We don't judge anybody. You know what? You got to feel the feelings, and they might come upon you and suffocate you. And so go lay in bed and cry, or cry to Jessica, or cry to me, or cry to us, or cry to Barbara. But you have to just be able to move on from that. You just can't let that consume you, because the only person all of that anger is going to hurt is you. It's not going to hurt him. It's not going to hurt her. They could give a shit. You are suffocating yourself on fear and anxiety and loneliness, as opposed to all the positive things that are there for you. So that's really the message of ExEXPERTS. We are telling our stories. We are fully transparent. And being that, we understand how it feels. And it's not easy. And it's 14 years we're talking to you later. So,
but there's light at the end of the tunnel.
There's light every day.
Message
yeah,
is
there's
that
light, a little bit of light every single day.
It gets
you just
better.
have to open your eyes to it.
Right.
If you don't, I believe in the universe also, but the universe hit me in the face many times during my misery, and I wasn't paying attention. I didn't want to hear it. So just keep your eyes open and just try to take in, and then make the choices that are best for you. Don't ignore the universe, because it really, I don't know, somebody up there is like pushing buttons or something.
I think that, like, knowing that, as hard as it is, and it's hard for everyone, regardless of if you're the one that initiated the divorce or you're the one that was told that you're getting divorced, whatever it is, it's a sad period. You're mourning the loss of a relationship with someone that you loved enough at one point to walk down the aisle with and make vows that you would be together forever. It's a very sad situation, no matter what. And what we can say is, we promise it'll get better. It's going to be hard getting through it, but you have so much new opportunity to get a fresh start and do things that you've never done before, and look for the right things that you didn't have before. Like, there really is, a positive way to look at it later. And even though it takes a while, like, don't lose faith.
It's the first day, the rest of your life.
Right.
I think that this is a really perfect and beautiful, natural place for us to just stop talking and just focus on some of those key messages that you brought to the table. So don't fight the universe, collaborate with the universe.
Keep your eyes open to it and remember it, because if you're not able to follow it right then, when you are ready, you should.
Right. Fresh new start. Focus on the light. It's a very hopeful message. And love your children more than you
hate your ex.
More than you hate your ex. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara.
Really appreciate the opportunity to share our stories.
It was really fun. Now, if any viewers would like to reach out and connect with you, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Well, our website is it's easy. It's ExEXPERTS.com, spelled out, ExEXPERTS.com. And just a little plug in here, even the colors and the way that the website looks is so hopeful and optimistic. It's not like a dark, scary, depressing place. We feel like even when you go onto the website, you already have a feeling of lightness, okay, I'll be able to get through this. But our website, like I said, is at ExEXPERTS.com. All of our social handles are at ExEXPERTS, spelled out the same way. And our podcast is called Divorce, Etc. And so you can find that on any podcast platform, or you can email us at hello@exexperts.com.
4 great ways to contact you. And I loved listening to some of your podcasts and totally agree. Your website is really sassy and happy and fun. You even have a little online store on it. So I recommend check it out. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As always, thanks for taking the time to be with us today on the Healing Broken Families podcast, where we discuss and help you find solutions to divorce, parental alienation, and high conflict personalities. I'm Barbara Pointe. Be well and namaste. Thank you for being here, for supporting the Healing Broken Families podcast and being part of this amazing healing community. I'm Barbara Pointe, a solution-focused life coach, divorce coach, and conflict resolution specialist. But I am so passionate about your awakening. I am passionate and so excited to welcome you to your own divorce awakening, to your own spiritual and soul awakening, because all is well. You know what? We are empowered to heal. We are empowered to heal. And your divorce, difficult, high conflict relationship, parental alienation, all of these things you will come to see them as a gift. You will come to see everything as a beautiful gift. So embrace the conflict, embrace the struggle, embrace the wound. I invite you now to please go to my website, barbarapointe.com. There are many free resources there for you, but a great place to start is download my ebook, Erased by a Narcissist, and then book yourself a free complimentary consult or connection discovery call. I will serve and coach you powerfully for an hour. Also, I invite you now to subscribe to my YouTube channel, make comments on these videos. I ask all of my expert guests to make themselves available to you and also comment your questions, your pain, your problems, and your thoughts, your opinions, your concerns. I truly, truly believe that we heal in community, and I welcome you to my community. So I'm sending you a lot of love and blessings. I've come to know that when you go through divorce, you truly need to be resourceful, strong, and supported. So it's an honor to walk this journey with you. Welcome to your awakening and welcome to your deepest